Story 1. Practice quitting. Pick a date to quit, circle it on your calendar, and tell your friends and family you are quitting on that day. Choose a day that is at least a few months out. The longer you choose, the more time you have to practice. Note how many cigarettes you smoke per day, or how much vape juice or cannabis you use. You want to specifically practice quitting by smoking less and waiting longer. Let's say you smoke a pack a day. This week, you will smoke 19 a day instead. Right now, you probably smoke as soon as you think about it. This week, you will wait 60 seconds before lighting the cigarette. These steps are extremely manageable, and you will barely notice a difference, but they develop an important foundation. Repeat this over the course of several months. The week before you quit, you should be down to one a day. You should be waiting hours to smoke cigarettes from the moment you decide you want to. It is as simple as that. Then you don't smoke for 3 full days and you are basically in the clear. After 3 days of not smoking, the hardest part of quitting is over. After 30 days of no cigarettes, the physical addiction is virtually gone. So practice. It is a lot easier going from 1 a day to none than from 20 to none. Story 2. I started vaping. Although most people probably wouldn't suggest that as a way to quit smoking. Story 3. Vaping helped me quit. I vaped for about a year and a half and eventually grew tired of it. At one point, I needed to buy more e-juice and decided to quit rather than purchase more. Story 4. I got tired of it and it is completely socially unacceptable at my work, so I forgot to miss it most of the time. I slipped back a few times, but it seems to have taken now. Story 5. I started using gum, which helped me stop smoking. Then I had to quit completely to eliminate nicotine. Story 6. I bought a vape and weaned down off it. That was the only way I was able to quit after over 12 years of smoking and countless attempts. Chantix did not work for me. Story 7. I was a pack-a-day smoker of American Spirit Blacks. I frequented a few convenience stores to buy my cigarettes and got to know the clerks there. I asked them to tell me no if I requested a pack. I quit cold turkey about 2 years ago and have not smoked since. Story 8. I switched to smoking roll-your-own cigarettes instead of standard cigarettes. Eventually, it became a chore, so I just stopped. I struggled with rolling, which made it easier to quit. Story 9. Overdosing occurs when someone uses excessive amounts of a substance, leading to a toxic or sickening reaction. The body then associates smoking with harm and develops an aversion to it. Additionally, individuals may seek to latch on to other addictions that are less harmful. Story 10. Read The Easy Way by Alan Carr. It may sound simple, but there is something truly effective in that book. It doesn't preach or criticize. It simply changes your mindset, making you not want to smoke anymore. Look for the oldest copy you can find. It is much easier than when you tried to get through your first pack. Story 11. I stopped drinking alcohol. It was a difficult change for me. I also stopped spending time with other smokers and drinkers. Story 12. I quit drinking alcohol cold turkey and kept myself busy. I also warned people that I would be irritable for a while. After a couple of weeks, I felt foolish for having taken so long to quit. Be cautious of day 3. It's the toughest day. Story 13. I switched to a vape and never touched a cigarette again. It's been more than 10 years. Now I'm addicted to vaping. Story 14. A carton of non-filtered cigarettes, a handle of whiskey, and a case of beer. Spend one night consuming as much of each as you can. You won't even want a cigarette for a week afterward. It jumpstarts you. It worked for me at least. Story 15. Get so drunk that you can't eat, drink, or smoke for several days. When you return to normal, all the nicotine has cleared out. Then it's about the mental challenge. I don't truly recommend this, but that's how I finally quit for good. Story 16. My grandparents quit smoking in the 1980s when their doctors told them that if they did not quit, they would not live long. After what they went through during a war and surviving in Europe, they were inspirational. The truth is that, except for a small amount of time, I was never really addicted. However, if doctors make similar findings about coffee, it will definitely be a challenge. Story 17. I was smoking 10 to 20 cigarettes a day. I am now on day 8 of using a vape. I understand it may be harmful, but it is better for my wallet. Story 18. I vaped for about 5 years. Man, do I want to vape. I'm about 6 months in, and you know the rest. Story 19. After a decade of smoking and many failed attempts, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and that's what motivated me to change. I switched to ZYN and feel much healthier. Smoking is essentially waking up every day and choosing to feel terrible. There are no benefits, only countless downsides. Story 20. The owner of a vape shop has helped many people quit. He says the best thing is to try not to think about it. Just tell yourself you will slow down. Many people can't quit all at once, but if you gradually reduce the nicotine in your body and how much it craves, you will eventually stop altogether. Stopping outright often leads to picking up another bad habit or failing completely. Story 21. I am not sure how old you are, but I have reached an age where I figured I just had to quit. I did not want to be a smoker forever. It was already becoming socially isolating to go outside whenever I wanted to smoke. I felt ashamed and did not want my colleagues to know either. So I made the decision to stay home for a while and avoid people who still smoked. Most people I knew had either already quit or were trying to quit at the same time. Now, it has been about 10 years, and I cannot imagine picking it back up. I honestly find myself being judgmental towards anyone who smokes or whenever I can smell it on someone. I know that is terrible. Story 22. I was a pack-a-day smoker for years. What finally worked for me was gradually cutting down. I started with half cigarettes when I craved one, then quarters, and eventually just a puff or two. My cravings actually became less intense as I progressed. After a month of this tapering method, quitting completely was much easier than any of my previous cold turkey attempts. My lungs thanked me before I even fully quit. It might not work for everyone, but it is definitely worth trying if you have struggled with quitting before. Story 23. I quit several times, once for a year and a half just by procrastinating. I would say to myself, I'll smoke later. The final time I quit, about 22 years ago, I went on Wellbutrin and used a nicotine patch. It was a challenging experience, but I succeeded. You may want to collect a jar of cigarette butts before you quit and take a deep breath whenever you have a craving. It also helps to set aside the money for a pack at whatever interval you used to buy one. This is a good way to illustrate your spending. Additionally, brush your teeth after meals if you tend to smoke after eating. Good luck. Story 24. I used a patch to eliminate the need and focus on managing the habit. I read that cravings last about 10 minutes and that the time between them will increase. I kept a book next to me for distraction. I reached chapter 3 before I no longer needed it. Story 25. I went cold turkey and switched to CBD cigarettes. After about 2 to 3 weeks, I didn't feel the need to carry around CBD smokes anymore and switched to cinnamon toothpicks. That was 5 years ago. Quit Smoking by Alan Carr also helped. Story 26. I got really sick, down for 2 weeks. I tried a cigarette from a pack I had opened before getting sick, and that was enough to end a 25-year addiction so far. Story 27. I quit smoking abruptly and replaced it with weightlifting. It was still a struggle because I was doing various things with my fitness and weight gain plan that were not effective. That was over 20 years ago, and I am in a good place now. Be mindful of the habits associated with smoking. For me, it was having a cigarette after a meal or with coffee. Good luck. Story 28. 1. Pick a date 2 to 3 months away to get used to the idea and prepare. Read The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. There are 20 or 22 chapters, so start reading 20 days before the set date and read 1 chapter per day. Accept that you are quitting and allow the book to have its effect. I quit on September 11th, 2024, and never looked back. Story 29. Nicotine pouches and vaping with cannabidiol, no nicotine, helped me relax in the evenings without the risk of addiction. This approach worked surprisingly well for me. I had been considering quitting for months, so I chose a date, consulted a doctor for free nicotine pouches, and informed my friends and coworkers that I was quitting smoking. On the chosen date, I disposed of all my cigarettes, lighters, and ashtrays. I also installed an app to track my progress. I am now 1 month and 1 week into my journey, and I am confident that I will never smoke again. At 35 years old, I had smoked for nearly 20 years. Story 30. I would keep track of how many cigarettes I smoked in a day and try to smoke one less than I did the day before. Keeping yourself distracted is also a big part of it. Engage in activities and visit places where you cannot smoke. Story 31. My aunt switched to lip balm. When she craved a cigarette, she would step outside and apply lip balm a few times, trying to keep the routine as close to her smoking habit as possible. It helped with the oral fixation and the need for that routine. Story 32. Like many people have said, just stop. I will add that you must have resolve in your reasoning behind quitting. Lastly, do not be hard on yourself if you do not achieve success. The best advice I ever heard was that no matter what, you should never give up on trying. Good luck to you. I haven't smoked since my daughter's first birthday 15.5 years ago. Story 33. I became tired of being addicted, so I stopped smoking and went through the detox process. It becomes easier once you truly want to quit, rather than quitting because you feel obligated to do so. Story 34. When you know you're ready to stop, be aware that breaking the habit is more difficult than simply refraining from nicotine. Additionally, nicotine reduces appetite, so you may gain weight. Story 35. I kept an unopened pack of cigarettes in my glove compartment for a few months. It felt like security for me. I could smoke if I wanted to, but I never did again. Story 36. Dad smoked for almost 30 years. One day, 38 years ago, he went to a group hypnosis session and tossed his last pack of cigarettes in the trash. He hasn't touched one since. Story 37. Manage your cravings effectively. Once you are fully accustomed to vaping, consider quitting that as well. It is often easier than giving up smoking. Story 38. Reduce the number of cigarettes from 3 to 1, then to half per day, until smoking only once every 2 to 3 days. This allows your body to normalize its nicotine intake. I can't take it all at once. I would experience shivering and fever due to cravings. When I feel the urge to smoke in between, I try to chew something bitter or sour, like candy or cinnamon. In summary, discipline and inner will are important. Story 39. Both times I quit smoking in the past, I did it cold turkey, which is not for everyone. I can't remember if I did anything special the first time, but the second time I happened to be working overnight shifts. Whenever I felt the urge to smoke during the day, I would take a nap instead. Be careful not to switch one addiction for another. Both times I quit, I gained a significant amount of weight because when I craved a cigarette, I snacked instead of smoking. Honestly, that's the major hurdle for attempting cold turkey for the third time. Additionally, make sure to wash all your clothes and clean out your car. You would be surprised how much what you smell affects your mood. Story 40. I waited until I went on vacation for a week. Not being in my usual routine helped a lot, even though it was still challenging. Story 41. I smoked nearly a pack for 4 years. The only thing that works is stopping abruptly. I hate to say it, but it worked and I never looked back. Story 42. I decided that I didn't want to smoke anymore. I smoked over a pack a day for more than 30 years and quit cold turkey. January 4th marked 6 years since my last cigarette. No pills, patches, or vapes. Nothing. I kept counting the days and was determined not to go back to day one. Find one reason not to smoke and hold on to it. Good luck. Story 43. I have mentioned this before, but it worked for me. I told everyone that I was quitting. My girlfriend, my friends, my coworkers, the staff at the shop where I bought cigarettes, the bus driver, and the person at the chip shop all heard the news. Sharing this with them motivated me to stick with my decision. Once I started, I didn't want people to think I couldn't follow through or that I was making excuses. I didn't want to look like a failure, so I just stopped. I was smoking about 3 packs a week, around 10 cigarettes a day. While that might not be a lot, it took a couple of weeks to get through the cravings and the psychological challenges, but after that, I was free. The hardest part was probably not automatically lighting up when I got into the car. I believe that was in 2004, and I haven't smoked since then. But as I said, maybe I'm just being honest. Story 44. Quit in the winter when it's cold. Get the first few months under your belt while the weather is unpleasant. This way, smoke breaks won't seem as appealing. Story 45. An intense workout regime. Nicotine's effects can't compete with your body's natural endorphins. It worked for me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.